Welcome to Anti-Woke and Autistic. Now, I have a good one for you. Have you ever wondered why it is that there's so much, for lack of a better term, hating on and shaming of fat people in social media, yet when it comes to people with anorexia nervosa, such as Eugenia Cooney, and I'm going to show you a picture of her coming up, why is it that people tiptoe around on eggshells? Now, I've read some comments on her Instagram that are, I don't want to say they're vile, but they're to the extent of she needs to be, well, here are some examples. Take a look at these. They're hitting below the belt, but it's in a uniquely different way than the way people comment about obese people, fat people, morbidly obese people promoting obesity and teaching fat acceptance, fat activism, and fat liberation. They get a different breed, a whole different breed of negativity, again, for lack of a better word, from people who disagree with them. Yet, when it comes to people who are emaciated and skeletal, like Eugenia Cooney, who is right here, take a good look at her. Yes, she is literally a walking skeleton. When it comes to people like that, why is it that they're treated differently? Morbidly obese people have an eating disorder, and people like Eugenia Cooney have an eating disorder. But when it comes to anorexia nervosa, it's like, oh, that poor young girl, that poor lady, that poor woman. Oh, that poor girl. Oh, that's so sad. I feel so sorry for her. But when we see a 300-pound woman or a 300-pound teenager, nobody thinks, oh, that poor young thing, that poor woman, that poor girl. How could she end up like that? Oh, she needs help. Oh, she needs to check herself into an eating disorder clinic. Oh, that's so sad. No, people don't think that way. They think, oh, that's disgusting. She's as big as a hippo. She's a whale. She's a glutton. She's causing a drain on the health system. She takes up too much space. I bet she demands a second seat on an airplane for free. I bet she feels entitled. Yeah, we're so, oh, that's so unfortunate. What kind of tragedies has she endured in her childhood to lead to that? We're like that when it comes to anorexia nervosa. Well, here's my theory. When we see a really fat person, we know they're very unhealthy, okay? They could drop any day from a clot, a blood clot. They could have a cardiac event, a stroke. They're in very poor health. They're at high risk for a slew of diseases. They're not on track for living a long life. And if they do live a long life, they're going to age painfully rather than gracefully. And they're going to be seeing one doctor after another all the time and have a lot of surgeries, coronary bypass surgery, be on all sorts of medications, knee replacements. However, there's this thing about size. We have it in our heads that something that's really big is really strong. We see fat weightlifters lifting humongous loads of weight above their head. We see them in the Olympics. We see them at other weightlifting events. The people who can lift the most weight tend to have a good amount of fat on their bodies. We don't see really skinny people lifting a lot of weight. Yeah, there's a lightweight division in powerlifting and in Olympic style weightlifting. There is a lightweight division, but they do not look like marathon runners, let alone like somebody with anorexia nervosa. They just don't look that way. They're lean, they're slender, but they're not skeletal or emaciated. Nobody is afraid of somebody like Eugenia Cooney falling into them if they're on a train or something like that that suddenly stops, a bus and it suddenly stops, and somebody like Eugenia Cooney is thrown into you, you'll hardly feel her. But if somebody like Tess Holliday is airborne and coming at you, that might be the last thing you see before you meet your maker. Fat people have a lot of mass, a lot of weight, and that's associated with strength. and power, even though the average fat person is in very poor condition. Now, that doesn't mean they can't be strong. Again, you could be morbidly obese and deadlift hundreds and hundreds of pounds and squat lots of weight and bench press lots of weight. There are football players who have massive amounts of fat on their body, yet look what they can do. You can get squashed by a fat person, but you can't get squashed by a 70-pound woman. And even though some people look at morbidly obese people and say, that looks like death, a person with anorexia nervosa in an advanced stage like Eugenia Cooney, they look a lot closer to death than a morbidly obese person. They look a lot closer to death. They're just a few pounds away from being a skeleton, whereas a fat person, you can't even see their bones. And we associate skeletons with death. So that's why people tend to be a lot softer when it comes to criticizing people such as Eugenia Cooney versus Tess Holliday or Amberlyn Reed, Glitter and Lasers, Anna O'Brien, Mary Fran, who I can't stand, Virgie Tovar, Samira, Hungry Fat Chick, Nikocado Avocado, and anybody who's into the promotion of obesity. But I think we really do need to start shaming. So there's a lot of fat shaming, if you want to call it that, out there. And there's skinny shaming, but that's towards people who are not anorexically skinny, but who are just very slender, very lean on the thin side. But I'm talking about somebody who looks like Eugenia Cooney. There's no shaming of that. Why is that? It's because when you look like a skeleton, it looks like you're close to death in a way that's different and more provocative than when a morbidly obese person looks like they're close to death in the sense that they could drop from a heart attack any day. So I thought I'd just share my thoughts about that. And that's all for today. Have a nice day.